Good afternoon runners, and welcome back to another video from me, that running girl. In today's video I'm going to be reviewing the Asics Novablast 5, talking you through the performance, the ride and the comfort of this daily running shoe. I'm also going to be comparing it to the Nike Invincible 3 because I think they're a really similar kind of running shoe, just with a few unique differences. And I've run enough miles in both of them to give you a really honest review of these. If you are new here, I'm Katie and I have run for 20 years. I have run 31 marathons, so I feel like I have absolute credibility to review these shoes. So let's get into it. First things first, everyone on this channel will know that I am an out and out Nike girl. I have run for 20 years and for the first few years of my running, I'm literally talking 1 or 2 years, I did wear Asics shoes. I wore the old style Asics Nimbus and I found them really bulky and just had a load of stress fractures with them, didn't get on with them at all. I then ran for about 18 years in Nike shoes religiously. I would have not switched from Nike shoes for anything. I ran all my PBs in them, from 40-minute 10K to a 128.5 to a 3:17 marathon, and I just got on with them really well. I started running in the Nike Pegasus, then I ran in the Nike Lunar Tempo, Nike Lunar Racer, and then I started running in the Nike Invincible, the first iteration of them, and now they're on to the iteration 3, Nike Invincible 3, which I will talk through those later in the video. A few years ago, I started experimenting with different brands because Nike very much were invested in super shoes, and for the most part, sometimes I don't want to wear a super shoe. I also don't get on that well with super shoes. I tried the Nike Vaporfly and I just found it wasn't right for me because I am a natural 4-foot runner, and I just felt that the way it forced my biomechanics to be a 4-foot runner, even though I was a 4-foot runner to begin with, just did not work for me. So Nike Invincible has been the only shoe that I've been able to wear and get hold of for quite a long time because the Lunars were discontinued a number of years ago. And so I started experimenting with different shoes. I have seen this Asics Novablast out and about at races so much, and I really wanted to try them. And I read so many reviews on saying how lightweight yet bouncy they were and cushioned and a stability shoe, but you don't feel it. And I was just super intrigued by them. So I bought a pair and I will let you know how I got on with them. So first things first, let's be honest, they look really cool. They are definitely a sidestep and a world away from what Asics used to look like 15-20 years ago. When I used to run in Asics 15-20 years ago, they did not look like this. They looked really ugly, really bulky, they were really weighty. There was a massive amount of weight in the heel. Obviously the stack height is really high on these, but you don't feel it because it's so lightweight. And yeah, I just feel like the aesthetics of the shoe has been massively upgraded. Really cool looking, really dynamic looking, and I feel like they're not going to be dating anytime. You also have a really nice range of colors, some of them in this really cool contrast color, and I was just super attracted to them because of the way they looked. Another very nice thing about them is the mesh upper on them. So to add to the lightweightness of the shoe, this part here is a lightweight upper, and when you compare it, lightweight mesh upper, when you compare it to the Nike Invincible, which is made of a fly knit upper, it is actually a lot more lightweight and feels a lot cooler when you're running. The fly knit upper definitely feels hotter when you're running in them. So let's talk about the performance of these shoes. So starting with the massive slab of FF Blast Max you have going around the entire shoe. This shoe does not feature a carbon plate, so the entire spring, propulsion and energy return you're getting from the shoe is literally from the absolute massive slab of FF Blast foam all around the shoe. I felt the first time I ran in these, I was so surprised how bouncy they were, because I had been used to running in the Nike Invincible and finding those really bouncy. But they are just 3 times more invincible even than the Nike, 3 times more bouncy than the Nike Invincible, which blew my mind a bit because I was really hesitant to move away from the Invincible because I thought that it would be the only bouncy shoe without a carbon plate that I would get on with. So I was really, really pleased about that. Another nice thing about the shoe is that you don't just feel the bounce in the heel and the midsole, you literally feel the bounce all the way around this shoe. Whereas in the Nike Invincible, I would say you feel the main bounce in the heel and the midsole, because once you get down to the forefoot, it's actually stripped away quite a bit more. And there's definitely a firmer toe off and a firmer feel on the stride pattern in the Invincible versus the Asics Novablast. So you can see here how much more stripped away this is versus the Novablast has, you know, pretty much the same kind of cushioning all the way through, other than a bigger heel return here. So the performance wise, it just feels super lightweight, super bouncy, but also up to handling all of your daily runs, anything from 5K, you know, to longer runs for marathon training. I've taken this on 5K, 10K, 10-mile runs, thinking about doing my 15-mile race in it at the weekend, and it's just a super good all-around shoe. Another thing I absolutely love about it is how cushioned it is in the heel area. So again, if I compare it here to the Nike Invincible, you will see just how much plush cushioning there is around the heel area here. And you can really, really, really feel that when you're running. Once you slip these shoes on, it just feels so comfortable. They are literally slipper soft. Whereas the Invincible, you know, I never really thought about it before until I tried these shoes. But when then you put the Invincible back on, you do realize they are way less cushioned in the heel area. So another thing for performance-wise I like about the shoe is the fit of the shoe. So I got these in a UK 7. It's worth noting that I usually get a UK 7 in racing shoes and a 6.5 in training shoes. But I find that Asics come up really, really small as a running brand. So I did go with a 7 just because I like to have room in the toe box area for my toes to completely splay out. Because I feel sometimes when my toes are too kind of compressed in the shoe, they almost can't, you know, splay out. And I love having that feeling of splaying out because I'm a forefoot runner and it just helps with my stride and the way that I run. So performance wise, yeah, I've been really, really, really impressed with this shoe, and it's super nice taking them out and knowing that they have the capability to manage any kind of run. The only kind of run I would say maybe don't do in these shoes is anything like, you know, a track race, or maybe a 5K race where you, or even a 10K race where you would need that more sort of snappy return. I would definitely go for a racer, something like the Asics Metaspeed Sky or the Asics Metaspeed Edge would be better for that kind of thing. So yeah, the comfort wise, like I said, super comfy shoe, really, really well cushioned all around here. Another thing I like about the shoe is it feels less like it has dynamic arch support as opposed to the Nike Invincible. So these are both actually sold and marketed as neutral running shoes, but the Nike Invincible definitely has a kind of down step here in the arch, which you can really, really feel when you're running, versus the Asics Novablast, which does feel more on the level and kind of straight when you're wearing it. So it definitely feels, if you don't need dynamic arch support, you would definitely get on with this shoe. And I feel like if you don't need dynamic arch support and you run in the Invincible, you may get a period of feeling like you have minor arch pain, and I have done with the Invincible because I don't need dynamic arch support. Price-wise, they come in relatively similar, but the Asics Novablast is slightly cheaper. So the Nike Invincible 3 is currently £175, and the Asics Novablast, I think I picked these up for about £130. So there is about a £40 or £50 difference in these, depending on where you get them from. If I had to choose one, it's really difficult because I've run in them both for quite a long time now, but I have run in the Invincibles for longer. And it's worth noting I've only run in the one version of the Asics Novablast 5. I didn't run in any of the versions before the Novablast 5. I would actually say I prefer the Asics Novablast at the moment, which is crazy because I never thought I would say that I would love an Asics shoe that much, given the backstory that I had with them back in the day. But one thing I will say is, when you want that more snappy toe off, like I say, the stride feel in the toe box and the forefoot area definitely feels a bit more firm in the Invincible. And so it feels a bit more like the Invincible has like the bouncy cushioning, but it also has like a more aggressive toe off, which is really good for long distance racing. That is why I'm probably edging towards wearing that even for my 15-mile race on Sunday, because as much as I love the Asics Novablast, it is super fun and super bouncy and super capable of cushioning all round to run in, I don't feel like it has that more snappy toe off in the stride, toe in the sort of forefoot area, which when I'm racing, I really want to feel that. So that is really the only difference that I would say between the shoes in terms of, you know, if I was to choose one of them and say which is better than the other. I can't really say which is better than the other, because although they're very, very similar shoes, they also have those differences that I've talked about. So yeah, I also think the weight of these two shoes is also really similar. So I think they both come in at about 9.5 ounces, which, you know, isn't light, but they're not marketed as a lightweight racing shoe. They are lightweight for training shoes, but they're not racing shoes. So I do feel like while it sounds heavy on paper, when you're actually running in them, you do not feel that weight at all. And yeah, they're just super enjoyable to run in. So I hope you found that review helpful. If you're deciding on whether to get a pair of Asics Novablast 5, or you're thinking between whether the Asics Novablast 5 or whether the Nike Invincible 3 is going to be right for you. And I hope this has helped you to make the right decision. I hope you are running well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.